Welcome to the Grit and Grace podcast. It is the very first episode of the new year 2024. And I was thinking about what did I want to talk with you about to set the tone for the year, right? And so as I was coming up with ideas for this very first episode, I thought, okay, so in the new year, people are all about like new year, new me, resolutions, goal setting, right? So let's take a little bit more of a practical look at setting goals for this year. And I'll give you some tips, okay, for how to do that in a way that they are more than just like things that you write down on a piece of paper and maybe you attend to them for a couple of weeks and then you just like let go of them, forget about them, never revisit them, and then you never accomplish them. So let's do it in a more effective, successful way. Deal? All right, so hang in with me. So I really, to give some context, so I really decided completely on this idea of the topic for this episode and how I wanted to frame it so we could really make it valuable. I did that after a session this morning with my own mentor. Yes, you all know I have talked about the value of coaching. Coaches need coaches too. And if you are looking for a coach, just a little side note, little bonus tip here, I would really encourage you to think about if that person continues to invest in themselves with coaching, because I would never, ever, and ask any of my clients or expect any of my clients to invest in coaching with me being their coach if I didn't continue to invest in coaching for myself. Bottom line, like, put your money where your mouth is. If someone that you're looking to for coaching truly believes in the value, completely 100% believes in the value of coaching, they are never going to stop getting coaching themselves. So, side bonus tip, like I said, look for someone who gets coaching. And I do. I am always looking at what is it that I want to accomplish? And then what do I need to get there in the quickest way possible? Because who's got time to be fooling around, right? There are people who have done what I want to accomplish. There are people who feel the way I want to feel. There are people who have been successful in doing the things that I want to be successful in doing. So why wouldn't I go to them to get help, right? Show me behind the curtain how you did it. Show me what to avoid, excuse me, and missteps to avoid, mistakes to avoid. Like, show me all of those things so I don't have to make the same mistakes that other people do. That's why, like, doing it on your own, it's always interesting to me when I talk with women and they say, well, they're just going to like try to do it on their own. And I'm like, well, how has that been working out for you? And it's like, well, I've been struggling with this, whatever their struggle is and whatever their goals are. I've been struggling to try to accomplish this, whether that's weight loss or health improvement or strength training or whatever. I've been struggling for the last 2 years. Well, then what makes now different? Going it alone is usually, that idea comes from a couple of different things. And I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here. I promise I'll get back to my point for today's episode. But that idea of thinking that you can go it alone is, one, just to be straight up honest with you, it comes from a place of arrogance or ignorance. I mean, come on, if you are so arrogant that you think that you can accomplish big time goals all by yourself, like, look around. Nobody who is successful got there on their own. But it can also be a little bit of ignorance too. You don't know what you don't know. And I don't mean ignorance in the sense of like stupidity. Like, I mean literally ignorant. You don't have the knowledge and the information from which to make the best decision. And again, you don't know what you don't know. And so thinking that you can go it alone really kind of simplifies and minimizes the challenges, right? Like, there are some things we can figure out on our own, but when it comes to like growing a multi-six-figure or multi-million-dollar business, If you haven't done it, you probably need help. Taking it to more of a personal and physique, losing 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and being able to do that in a way that you don't yo-yo right back to the weight that you are now. Dealing with managing your metabolism and balancing your hormones in a natural way after you're 40 because you're perimenopausal, you've never done that before, and you want to take the right approach, not to waste time, or you don't want to wind up right back, where you are and starting over, right? So like that takes expertise and it takes mentorship and help. So like, don't be ignorant and don't be arrogant, right? And just think to yourself, like, how's it worked out for me to go it alone up to this point? Probably not very well. So anyway, so that idea of like doing it on your own is just something that you need to like give that one up and move forward. So again, that's why I have coaches. My coach is a phenomenal business mentor. I have a mindset coach because all of us need to improve the way we think about things and our outlook on life and how our actions align with the goals that we have. So there you go. That bonus information, okay? But let's get to this idea of goal setting in a really effective way for the new year. I am not a big proponent of New Year's resolutions, mainly because I think it's kind of the fad thing to do. Like, what are your New Year's resolutions going to be? Everybody asks the questions or the question, and then we create New Year's resolutions more out of almost this expectation that everyone does it than from a space of really thinking about what it is that I want to achieve and why I want to hit those goals, right? That's really where you should that's where you should go in order to create goals that you have for yourself. So if you are someone who likes to start the year fresh, who likes to set a path, to kind of plot out what you're going to be trying to achieve, to give yourself some direction, a couple of things I want you to think about as reminders before you start setting those goals. And these were some things that when I was talking to my coach today, she reminded me of, and I thought, wow, like it seems so simple, but it's so powerful to revisit these things, right? You want to remember that you only create what it is that you show up as, okay? So you can't create this life full of positivity and freedom if you are showing up with a negative mindset. If you are showing up and every day you're negative Nancy about things that are going on, right? You can't set a goal to be more positive and expect to achieve that if you're showing up as this negative Nancy, is my point. So it's just a reminder that as you're striving for what you want to achieve, you need to do your best to try to show up in that way each day. Also, are you acting from a space of 100% integrity to yourself and integrity to others? Now, I think most of us, as successful, driven women, most of us do a really good job of showing up in integrity to others. We have mastered that. We give 150% at work. We show up. If we say we're going to do something, if we say we're going to be somewhere, we do it. We're there, we get it done. We hit our benchmarks, we hit our deadlines, and we're there for our boss, for the company, for the school, right? For the organization. And it doesn't even have to be just at work. It can be in the sense of like showing up for your friends, showing up for your family, like being there, right? We're really good at that. But are you as good as at showing up for yourself, right? And I can make it even simpler than that. we'll make promises or commitments to other people, and we would not break that commitment. No way. I mean, it can be something as simple as, making an appointment with my hairstylist. If I make an appointment and I tell you I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock, I'm there at 15 till, right? I am not going to take a chance on there being traffic and being late. I'm not gonna put her in a position of getting behind on her schedule for the day. I'm not gonna cancel on her at the last minute, because I know that's money for her and she's built her calendar and her schedule around that. I'm going to follow through with that commitment. But if I say that I'm going to commit to working out 5 days a week, the alarm goes off, I hit snooze again. I skipped Monday, I'll do it on Tuesday. And before you know it, you get to Friday, and for whatever ton of different reasons you use as excuses, you haven't worked out maybe even one day. That's what I'm talking about. You show up for others, you keep your commitment, you keep your word, you are right in alignment with your integrity as it relates to other people, but you don't show up in complete 100% integrity for yourself. Remember that you have to do both. If you want to be successful, if you really want to pursue goals and achieve them, you've got to know and follow through on the fact that you are just as important to show up with integrity for as everybody else, if not more important than everybody else in your life. Another thing is you've also got to remind yourself that your belief system is a huge part of whether you succeed or not. In all aspects of life, if you don't believe that you can be successful in the goals that you set, you 100% will not be successful. Think about a little kid. Think about as your kids were growing up and you were trying to teach them to do something. You constantly praised them. You constantly told them, how you believe in them. They can do it, whatever it is that they're attempting to do, right? And this may seem like a simplified example, but it's absolutely true. You told your kids those things so that you could transfer some of your belief in them to them. So they were beginning to sow the seeds and benefit from your belief, in the sense that it grows their own belief in themselves, the confidence that you built in them. That confidence, that cheering, that praising, that all was building their belief in themselves. You've got to do the same thing for yourself. Now, if you're doing something and you're struggling doing it, your success starts in your mind with your belief. The belief that you maybe you're not doing it 100% right now. Maybe you're succeeding at 40% or 30%, but you believe that you absolutely, whether it's practice, whether it's consistency, whether it's learning more, whether it's implementing other things, whatever it is that you need to do to tweak it, 100% that you absolutely can get there. It's just a matter of taking those other actions to get yourself into that space. It's not about you doubting that you're capable of doing it. Does that make sense? Another thing, the decisions that you're making in life, remember that those decisions are going to be much more powerful if you make those decisions from a place of desire rather than a place of fear. And I'm going to kind of put a footnote on this one, because I think fear can be a really powerful motivator in some instances, right? But in the general sense of things, most often, when we make decisions from a place of desire and belief, we are going to have a higher success rate in whatever it is that those decisions lead us to than if we make decisions out of fear. Because sometimes, in some instances, decisions that are made out of fear aren't well thought out. They may even be made in desperation. They may be made to avoid something rather than to achieve something, right? Because sometimes you make a decision out of fear to avoid some other pain that is going on, when in fact, you will be much more in alignment with the decisions and how you can get to the success that results from those decisions if they're made out of a deep, deep rooted belief and rationale for why you want it, and truly authentic kind of desire. Okay? Another thing that was a really good reminder for me is that you get back what you give in this world. If you give something your all, you're going to get back, in multiple fold what it is that you give. If you've heard, you're going to get out of this what you put into it, right? The work that you put into it is going to be completely 100% reflective of the result that you get. Well, the same can be true in so many different areas of life. So think about that as you go about your day, as you go to work and interact with people, as you interact with family and friends, as you treat yourself. Whatever it is that you're putting out in the world, be intentional about that, because you want that to match what you want to receive. It's like a mirroring system, okay? If you hold a mirror up and you look in your face and you think to yourself, what do I want? I've got to put that into the world, okay? You've probably heard some version of this saying about, ugly begets ugly, or ugly begets ugly, I should say, or, bad gets bad, or, whatever it is. Whatever version of that saying, and I'm probably chopping it all to hell, but anyway, you get my point. Put out what you want to get back, all right? With a genuine desire to do good, be better. Because here's the thing. This whole world is not just about what you do. This whole life, this whole existence, this human existence is not just about what it is that you do. It's about who you are, who you're being, right? We're not humans doing, we're humans being. That's kind of what I think of when I'm reminded of this mirroring effect. I want to put out in the world what it is that I want more of, what I want to receive more of. Okay. So I've like beat that horse to death, but I thought, man, those are such powerful reminders that I want to share with you guys too, as we move into this new year. And we kind of have this clean slate, this fresh start to do things like turn the page in the book, right? It's a new chapter, a new beginning, and to kind of set the context for setting goals. So one of the really powerful activities that you can do, rather than sitting down first and writing out goals, here's something that I think makes those goals much more focused, much more heartfelt, much more from a place of desire. If you do this first, sit down after you listen to this episode, or sometime when you can take a little bit of time to yourself within the next 24 hours though, sit down with pen and paper, or with your computer, or even if you're someone who likes to transcribe, like audio transcribe. I do this, for example, a lot of times when I'm running. I will, on my walk break in between running, I'll audio message myself, because my head, I'm getting more clear in my thinking, and ideas and thoughts come to me. And this is the kind of thing that, maybe you are one of those who uses your voice note on your phone, but whatever way you do it, you need to actually document this thinking. But here's what I want you to write down. In 2024, what areas of life are you looking to improve? Okay. So jot down, and those can be generally when I talk to women about this, the areas of life kind of fall into some patterns of categories. But I want you to write down what areas of life for you want to focus on in 2024. Now, of course, we all want to improve probably all areas of life, but really write down what is it that you really want to work on? What areas? So is it spending time with your family? Is that an area you want to improve? Is it that you want to travel more? And maybe that's how you spend more time with your family. You guys you want to take more vacations and have that sort of uninterrupted away time with your family. Perhaps it's spending time with your partner. You really want to deepen the intimacy connection between you and your partner. Perhaps it is that you want to save money in the new year, and maybe saving money for a specific reason. Maybe it is that you want to pay off your home, or maybe you want to really work at getting out of student loan debt this year. There are any number of areas that you will want to improve. A huge one that comes up and has for me in my life in the last probably 10 years or so, and in the women that I work with in my coaching programs, is that they want to improve their physical health. They want to get their body in shape. They want to improve their health from a perspective of having more energy. They want to be able to, be more active. They do want to be able to go on vacations with their family and be able to do all the walking tours and keep up. They want to be able to, take the hike on their vacation. They want to get rid of the weight that has crept on in the last couple of years. They want to feel better. They want to get more rest and sleep so they're not feeling exhausted. So there are all these kind of physical areas of life that they want to improve for themselves, right? But a lot of you also tell me that you want to improve mental health areas of your life. You want to reduce stress this year. Overall, the area, I want to improve my mental health by decreasing the amount of anxiety that I feel. I want to reduce stress. I want to be able to better manage stress. And that may be professional stress. It may be stress related to your personal life. But there are lots of health related, wellness kinds of related areas of your life that you want to improve when I talk with you. And I think those are amazing. And part of the reason I think before you sit down and set out goals, like outcomes that you want to achieve, you've really got to think about where in my life does this fit? Is it a relationship improvement? Is it professionally improving? Is it financially improving? Is it my physical health with my body, improving my physique, looking and feeling better in my clothes? Think about that, because the truth of the matter is that these all overlap. So when women work on their physical health and their mental health in my coaching programs, what they find is that their life in other areas also improve. Their communication with their partner improves. Their overall relationship with their partner improves. Their intimacy, their sex life improves. Their productivity at work improves. And so I think instead of just working on one and then kind of happenstance seeing the other areas that benefit from that, I think kind of reverse engineer it and start with, okay, what areas are important in my life this year for me to really focus on and lean into improving? But then take it a step farther and answer this question. Why is it that you want to improve those areas? Really genuinely, not on the surface level, but I want you to think about why I want to improve those areas. So if it is that you want to improve your relationship with your partner, why? And really, it's not just that, well, of course everybody does, right? But there are specific reasons I find when I talk with you, and you're telling me about goals that you have, there are specific reasons that you have that are unique to you for wanting that change. Okay? If it is that you want to lose 25 pounds and you want to improve your overall, you want to drop weight and improve your overall health, why? And it's super important that you think about this in the sense of why you want it for you. What is it going to mean for you if you succeed at improving these areas of life? But also, what is it going to mean for your family? What is it going to mean for your partner? If you improve your physical health, what does it mean for your family? What does it mean for your overall life? That is how you get to those kinds of reasons for the goals that you set, the kinds of reasons that actually carry you through so that you stick to it, so that when it gets tough, you don't give up, so that you really can be consistent, stay motivated. I can't tell you how many times I talk with women and they tell me, or maybe you're one of them that I have chatted with, or maybe you're one of my clients and you're working on this, but so many times in the last several years, I've talked with women and they've said, I do really, really well with my goals for like the first week or two. And this time of year, this comes up a lot in conversations with you. I do really, really well for the first couple of weeks. And then I just kind of lose focus. I can't stay motivated. That turns into being inconsistent. And then before long, by the end of January, I'm just not doing anything anymore. My eating has gone to crap again. I'm not doing any kind of exercise again, but I'm really gung-ho when I start. Over and over, I hear that from you. Part of the problem, if that's happening to you, part of the problem is that you haven't really set goals with a connection to what it means to you, why you want to do it, what will it change in your life, how is life going to be different for you if you do this thing. And the reason that's so important is, look, basically when I work with women in my 12-week program, I'll use this example. You're going to pay me to coach you, to give you tools that are going to take effort and energy, particularly in the beginning, because any kind of change is going to take effort and energy, right? It's going to take time. You probably are going to feel a little uncomfortable in the sense of like, once you start doing the customized exercises that I create for you, they're not like, just, do them and you don't feel anything. I mean, they are simple and they are easy and we do start where you are, but they're going to create some discomfort. You're going to be a little sore, for example. You're going to have to think a little bit more about what you eat when I create your customized nutrition plan. Now, do I do it in a way that makes it as simple as possible, that fits into your routine? Absolutely. But there's no change worth having and working toward that doesn't cause some kind of discomfort in the beginning. There's none. So what you're essentially saying by working with me is, I'm going to be uncomfortable and I'm willing to put in the work and I'm willing to make this financial investment in myself. You don't do that and stick with that if it's not connected to something more than I just want to lose weight. There's always something more, because if it's just about losing the weight, that's not enough of a pull for you to go through the discomfort. There's not enough of a gain, if you will, for you to continue to put in the time and the effort and the money in yourself. Nobody's going to choose to be uncomfortable. Your brain, in fact, tries to dissuade you. It tries to tell you, no, don't do that. This hurts. Stop. And our natural human instinct is to not put ourselves in a position to be uncomfortable physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, or financially. And so you've got to find a way And you've got to think about, what does this mean for my life on a deeper level? How is my life going to change? And I want you to do all of that work, if you're listening to this episode, before you even start setting any goals. All of that. You need to go through that mental process of literally thinking it through and writing it down. Because, again, bonus tip, anything that you commit to paper or typing on your computer, you're going to have a higher likelihood of revisiting it and actually following through on it than if you just like think about it on a whim. Okay. Now, another thing I want you to think about, so it's, why do I want to do this? Why is this important to you? I also want you to think about, in these areas of life that I have identified, that I say I want to improve, all right? What is it that I'm not willing to tolerate anymore in those areas? Because when you dive into, okay, what are the benefits of this? What am I going to get from this? How is it going to improve my life? What is it going to mean differently? We typically think about the good things, right? All the ways that this is going to be advantageous to us. But another part of reaching goals is thinking about, what is it that I'm not willing to put up with anymore? What am I unwilling to tolerate in my life anymore? That can connect you to those deep reasons, oftentimes in the beginning, almost more than the benefits you're going to get out of it. For example, I got to a point in, about 10 years ago now, in my early 40s, where I was just unwilling to tolerate being uncomfortable getting dressed in the morning and being uncomfortable going through my day in clothes that were too tight, that made me self-conscious. I was not willing to tolerate feeling that way anymore. And so as badly as I wanted to improve my health and go shopping and fit into clothes off the rack that made me feel good, as much as I wanted that, I was more connected to the fact that I was not going to put up with feeling like shit anymore. I'd had enough of the days of dreading walking into my closet and staring at racks of clothes and knowing that 90% of that crap didn't fit. And that when I pulled the outfit down to put on, I was not going to feel good in it. I was not going to like it. And before I left the house for that morning, I was going to wind up with a pile of clothes in my closet where I had tried on 5 to 10 different outfits. I wasn't going to tolerate feeling like that anymore. So that was a huge, huge motivating factor for me setting goals and following through. Because anytime that it got hard, when I was doing workouts, for example, because that was something that I really did not enjoy in the beginning. It hurt. It made me uncomfortable. I sweat. I felt awkward. I felt out of my element. It made me hurt. But when I felt that pain, I remembered vividly the pain of standing in my closet and feeling mentally and emotionally defeated. And I knew I didn't want that anymore. So continuing to exercise was so much easier when I could tap into how I didn't want to be that self-conscious, pulling at my clothes, not having anything to wear and beating myself up about it and hating what I saw in the mirror, not liking how I looked in my outfits and being uncomfortable. I wanted that less than I worried about the pain from the exercise. I wanted to get rid of that feeling. I was not willing to tolerate that emotional angst anymore. And when I could tap into that, it made it much easier to get through the tough times in the first several months of that journey. So think about, what is it that I'm never, ever willing to tolerate in my life anymore? Then I want you to also write down, what do I feel like is the biggest struggle that I have with achieving this? if it's that I do want to lose weight, that the area of my life that I want to improve is my physical health, what is the biggest block? What is the biggest hurdle that I need to overcome? How is it that my feelings are going to get in the way? Is anxiety a big one that I'm going to struggle with? Is that my fear of failing a big one? What are those feelings of angst that come up that kind of keep your energy low, or give you that negative energy that you feel like is going to block you potentially, or at least you're going to struggle with it when you're on this journey of improving these different areas of life? Okay. What is it that you need to be able to overcome emotionally and psychologically for you to be successful with your goals? Okay. Now, when you've done all of that, then you can sit down and think about, okay, so then in those areas of life where I want to make improvement, let's take wellness or weight loss or health, physical health, for example. In those areas, what are one or two goals? And maybe you choose two different areas of life, or maybe three, from that first list of what areas you want to improve. Choose two or three of those, and then I want you to set one or two goals that are outcome-based goals, okay? Things that you want as a result of improving that area. So if an area that I wanted to improve was my physical health, then what's one or two outcome goals, results I want? Okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to codify my goals into specific outcomes that you want to achieve, all right? I want to get off of my blood pressure and diabetes medications. I want to lower my cholesterol from this number into this normal range. Set yourself some outcome-based goals, all right? And I'm going to use weight because that is one that women come to me so often with, an outcome-based goal. So then once you've set those two or three goals for each of those areas, and you've written that down and you've gotten really crystal clear and concrete about them, then I want you to one by one take those goals, and I want you to write down two or three steps you can take, actions you can take this week and every week moving forward that is going to help you to make progress on that goal. So first I've gotten you to write an outcome goal for the area of improvement. Now I want you to write an action goal, or sometimes you might hear of this as an effort goal. Because having a goal that's an outcome goal is great. But the mistake that I see so many women make is that you set your outcome goal like, I want to lose 20 pounds this year, and you don't take it a step farther to what is it that you actually need to do to achieve that goal. The general kinds of attempts that you make, like cutting back food, or I'm going to exercise more, those, quite honestly, don't work because they're meaningless. There's nothing there for you to actually look at and do for you to make that goal a success. You've got to think about outcome goal and then effort goal. So what action can I take? And I'll give you a couple of examples. If you want to lose 20 pounds, what it is that you can do this week is, I can drink more water. And I'm going to get more specific than that even. Right now, on average, maybe you drink 10 ounces of water a day, maybe 0 ounces of water a day. And so this week, I want to increase the 0 amount of water that I drink each day to 20 ounces a day. If you're at 50 ounces a day, you can up that to 65 ounces a day. but write down a very specific action. And maybe that seems like, okay, Lori, like seriously, how am I going to chip away at 20 pounds if all I'm doing is this week, excuse me, drinking 20 more ounces of water a day than I did last week? Trust me when I tell you that that very first step that you take in an actionable effort is a change in your behavior that, without being very specific about it, you won't do. And all of those little efforts, all of those little actions add up, and they compound into resulting outcomes. They actually help you to get the progress that you're looking for, and that progress adds up to those goals. Now, I would be a liar if I stood here and said, oh, you're going to lose 20 pounds if you just every week you increase the amount of water. No, I also don't want you to make goals or efforts that sound like this. I'm going to just watch my portions this week. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to literally watch my food as it goes into my mouth. No, you've got to know how much is a portion for me. First off, a portion for you versus a portion for your husband, that's two different things. Serving sizes and portions are two different things, and that could be a whole nother episode here. But just to make it really plain, cutting back on your portions, that sounds great, but what does it really mean in the sense of like, what do you actually need to do? So yeah, you need to get specificity with a plan, so you know exactly what it is that you need to be eating, how much food, what kind of food. Do you need to increase your protein intake? Do you need to decrease your carb intake? I don't know, unless I get in and get some information from you, and then we can talk about specifics. But those are the kinds of things that I do work with my clients, giving them very specific nutritional, hormone balancing approaches to food so they know what it is that they need for their body so that they can reach the goals that they have. But you don't have to have that to start. Just because you don't have that now is not an excuse for you not to take some kind of action in the way of making progress. I always find it interesting when someone tells me, well, I'm going to start my diet next week. And, they're eating what have you, and they're having dessert. And it's almost like they're eating more junk food and having more desserts and drinking more and eating larger portions and choosing the lasagna and the pizza and the pasta because I want to get it all in before I start my diet next week. That's crazy. Like, that is insane. Literally, that is just crazy, a crazy approach to it. First off, why set a deadline like, I'm going to start next week? Start today. You don't have to go on a diet, and I put air quotes around that, to improve your nutritional intake. Just today, instead of eating 4 cookies when you go into work and there's cookies all over the counter as a welcome back, instead of eating those 4 cookies, don't eat any. Instead of drinking, 4 or 5 cans of soda today, drink water in the place of a couple of those times. You can always make a better decision without having to, quote unquote, go on a diet. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do with these effort goals. So kind of go through that process and ultimately land on a list of anywhere from 4 to say 8 actions that are relatively simple, painless, seemingly small choices that you're making to do something differently today than you did yesterday, or this week, do some things differently this week than you did last week. And before you know it, all of that adds up to some actual real progress. Just doing those things, I guarantee you that you will see the scale drop a little bit this month. You will feel a little bit better. You will have a little bit more energy, and you'll just in general feel happier and more positive. I hope that was helpful. I would love to hear from you about what it is that you're going to actually implement after you listen to this, like 40 plus minutes of this episode. I think this may be the longest episode I've ever done, but there's a lot packed in here. And I really genuinely wish you the happiest of New Year's. I really encourage you to go after your goals, go after your dreams, make life different this year than it was last year. And that's about not just doing things differently, but being a different person this year. Love you, mean it, and I will see you right back here next time.